Craig's Fireside. Good evening, and welcome to another episode of Craig's Fireside Chats. This episode is called Synchronicity. In the last episode, I described how a chance meeting with an old friend sparked my interest in the prophecies about the coming of the Messiah, and that changed my life. In the subsequent 40 years, I have read many ancient texts, and many modern ones also. But I'm not qualified to speak on these sacred things. And so in the next episode, we will have a special guest on Craig's Fireside Chats who can explain all these mysteries with greater authority. So what I'd like to do in this episode is to give you some more stories about chance meetings and how these chance meetings were very extraordinary. Well, in the year that I applied to go to Africa, I was living in a Christian co-op, and we lived in a grand old 4-story house, and there were 6 of us living there. And one day, one of my roommates asked me if I wanted to go see a talk by Reverend J.I. Packer. Well, I had read J.I. Packer's book, Knowing God, recently, and so I readily accepted. So on the Saturday morning, we got up bright and early and went out to the bus stop to take the bus to go to the church where Reverend Packer was speaking, which was on the west end of town. And while we were waiting at the bus stop, I noticed that there was a very attractive woman standing there waiting for a bus also. Well, we got on the bus, and then when we got to the transfer point, this woman also got off the bus and was waiting for the transfer. And so on the outside chance, I went up to her and asked her if she was going to see J.I. Packer, and she said that yes, she was. Well, I don't remember much more than that, but when we were at the talk, when there was a coffee break, I made sure to get her name and phone number. And so after that, Cindy Carr and I began to date a little bit. One of the things that Cindy and I had in common was that she had been a missionary and had just returned from Africa. And I was getting ready to go to Africa. I had put my application in and was waiting for a posting. Well, one of the dates I remember that we went on was my birthday. And I remember I asked her for a birthday kiss. And she agreed, and she even kissed me on the lips, but it was one of the most chaste and discouraging kisses I had ever had. Anyway, one day, sometime later, I got a phone call from Cindy on a Friday around 4 o'clock in the afternoon, and she asked me if I wanted to go and see a play with her that evening. And I agreed. Now, I had arranged to go out that evening with my ex-girlfriend, and so I called her to cancel, figuring that she would understand. But she didn't. In fact, the next time my ex-girlfriend and I went out to a coffee shop to listen to music, she made a point of getting picked up by some random guy, and she dumped me and left with him. Anyway, Cindy and I went to see the play, which was called Sweet Like Sugar, and it was a story about South African soldiers involved in an incursion into Namibia. After that, I don't remember seeing Cindy anymore. A few months later, I left for Africa, well, I had many adventures then, one of which was I recounted in one of the previous episodes. Well, the second Christmas that I was in Africa, I decided to come home and visit family and friends, and also do some fundraising for an organization, the YMCA, which I had been involved with when I was in Ghana. So I went to YMCAs in Toronto and in Montreal and in Ottawa to see if I could raise any funds for the project in Ghana. Anyway, while I was in Ottawa, I decided to go to Carleton University for some reason. I don't remember why I went there, but I went to the cafeteria for lunch, and who should I see but Cindy Carr at the checkout counter. So I went up to her and I said, "Hi, remember me?" And she said, "Yes, I'm leaving tomorrow for Africa." As it turned out, she was employed by CUSO, the same organization that I was with, and she ended up living in Lome, Togo, about 200 kilometers from where I was living in Korfuregua, Ghana. More chance meetings were yet to come, but I want to discuss the idea of synchronicity, which was a theory developed by Carl Jung. His theory was that our minds apply meaning to coincidental events, and that this is a healthy and even necessary function of the mind. In my mind, I get a feeling, which I dismiss, that in a supernatural kind of way, I had some control over being in the right place at the right time. And as a Christian, I might even ask if it was the Holy Spirit who drew us together. Whatever it was, Cynthia Carr summed it up when we got married. She said, "Craig Leferrier is a very lucky man."